If you struggle with OET reading, then this video is for you, because today I'm going to show you how effective skimming skills can help you complete your OET reading test confidently and efficiently. Hi there everyone, and welcome to this OET video from Swoosh English. My name is Grace, I am an OET teacher and academic manager. Now, so many of our students come to us asking for help and advice with OET reading. Lots of people struggle with this section of the exam, and for good reason. There's a lot of text to read, a lot of questions to answer, and you have to do all of this within a time limit. Now, one of the first pieces of advice we give to students who are struggling with this exam is that they employ effective skimming techniques. Now, if you're not sure what skimming is, it basically means moving your eyes quickly over a text in order to get the main idea or the gist. So you're not trying to get a detailed understanding at this point. You're not trying to read every single word in detail. You're just going to get an overall idea of the main topic or the main themes contained within the text. So why should you use skimming skills? Why is this helpful, and how is it going to help you in your OET test? Well, basically, it makes you a more efficient reader. By quickly skimming through the text before you start answering the questions, you get an idea of the content contained in each text or each section, and it will help you to locate the answers more efficiently and therefore finish the exam on time. So it is really important that you not only use skimming skills, but you know when to use them, because they're not always going to be appropriate. So we're going to go over how to skim now. I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on exactly what you should be doing when you skim a text. Now, the first thing we're going to do when we skim a text is to look at any headings and subheadings. So let's take these Part A texts as an example. We can see that we have headings and subheadings in these texts. So the first one, we have a nice heading here which tells us exactly what's going to be contained within the text. And then in the second example on the right here, we've got a main heading, and we also have some subheadings in the table below. So if you have a text which contains a table or a chart, make sure you take a quick look at any headings within that table to give you a good overview of the type of text contained within. Next, you're going to focus on keywords and phrases. Remember, you're not reading every single word when you skim. So let's take a look at this text as an example, and let's try to find the key words in that first sentence. Well, if you take a look here, I've highlighted the words that I think contain the most important information, and you'll notice that keywords are usually nouns, verbs, adjectives, or maybe adverbs. So these are the types of words and phrases that you're going to focus on when you are skimming a text. You're not going to read every single word. Now, if at this point you're thinking, this sounds difficult, how on earth can I ignore certain words within a text and only focus on keywords? Well, don't worry, because skimming does take practice, and you'll find that the more you practice and the more that you do it, the easier it will become. And you will have an opportunity to put all of these strategies into practice later on in the video with a real OET Part A text, so stay tuned for that. The next thing to pay attention to when you are skimming a text is visuals and captions. Now, you might not always have these, but let's take a look at an example text from OET Reading Part A. Now, you can see here that there's lots of lovely visuals contained within this text, and that's going to really help you when you're skimming, as you can use these visual cues to give you an idea of the information that's written there. Also, captions, if there's any kind of diagrams, tables, or graphs, take a look at the captions below or above just to make sure you know exactly what it is that you're looking at. Next, you're going to read topic sentences. Let's take this example text. Now, which sentences are the topic sentences? Well, typically they are at the beginning of the paragraph, and they give you an idea of the main theme that will be addressed within that paragraph. So you don't want to waste time when you're skimming. You're not going to try and read an entire paragraph of text because it's not going to be useful. But if you quickly skim through focusing on the topic sentences, it'll give you a good idea of what's contained not just within the text as a whole, but within the individual sections of each text. Now, especially in OET Reading Part A, this is really going to come in handy later when you're trying to locate the correct answers. So you can see already how using skimming skills has a real life application when you're in that OET test. Another thing that's important to keep in mind when you're skimming is that you should ignore unfamiliar vocabulary. So do not read or try to understand the meaning of every single word in the text. Remember, at this stage, you are just skimming to get an overview of the text. There's no point getting hung up or worried about words or phrases that you don't know the meaning of. You might not even need them when you're answering the questions. So if you see any words and phrases you don't know, ignore them for now. And later, if you need to come back to them, there are different techniques you can use to infer meaning. But at this stage, when we're skimming, we are ignoring unfamiliar words and phrases. So at what point in the OET reading test should you use skimming? Well, the time when it's going to be the most important is in OET Reading Part A. The very first thing you should do is to skim each of the 4 texts to get an idea of the overall contents and meaning of each one. The reason why this is so important is because when you come to answer the questions later, you should be able to know exactly which text to find your answer in as soon as you see the question. This is going to make your completion of Reading Part A so much more efficient, and you're much more likely to answer all 20 questions within the 15-minute time limit. Now in OET Reading Part B, you can also do a quick skim of the text, so taking a look at headings, subheadings, reading the topic sentence of each paragraph to get an idea of what the text is about before you then go to the question. Now we've gone over the strategies, you're going to have a chance to put all of this into practice with a skimming task. I'm going to show you a text from OET Reading Part A. I would like you to pause the video and spend 20 seconds skimming the text. Yes, that's right, 20 seconds. Remember, you're reading quickly. Once you've skimmed the text, you're going to tell me in one sentence, what is the text about? Okay, very simple. You're just getting the main idea or an overview of the text. So remember, not reading every single word. Try to pay attention to keywords, topic sentences, any headings that you see, and then answer the question, what is the text about? Here is your text then. So as I said, pause the video, time yourself if you can, 20 seconds, skimming the text. What is it about? Good luck, everybody. Off you go. Okay, how did you get on? Now, I would love to know what your answer to this question was, so please feel free to leave your answer in the comments down below this video. Let's see if everybody got similar answers to that question. But if I was going to answer the question, I would say that the text gives information about different treatments for pneumonia. Now, the heading really helped us out there, and all we had to do is skim through the text, focusing on topic sentences and keywords to get that information. Now I'm going to end with a few tips on how you can improve your skimming skills during your exam preparation time. Number 1 piece of advice has got to be to practice regularly. As with all things, it gets easier the more you practice. So when you're doing specific reading practice sessions, allocate some time to focus on your skim reading skills. The next piece of advice I have for you is to use a timer. If you're using a timer when you're doing these skim reading sessions, it's going to encourage you to read more quickly, which really is the whole point of skimming. Next, practice predictive skimming. This basically means having a look at any headings or subheadings and then predicting what you think the text will be about before you skim. This is a great way to prepare yourself for reading and might even make the skimming process easier. Next up, try to avoid sub-vocalization. This basically means saying the words either out loud or in your head as you read a text. Remember, you're not trying to read every word, you need to be reading quickly. So focus on visually skimming through the text instead. The next thing you can do to improve your skimming skills is to chunk information as you read. So this really just means breaking down the text into smaller, more manageable sections to avoid feeling overwhelmed. So focusing on one small section at a time while you're skimming through the passage. And my final piece of advice is to review and reflect. After you've skimmed through a passage, take a moment to ask yourself that question. What is the text about? This is really going to help you get into the mindset of that skimming purpose. The reason you're skimming is to be able to answer that question. What is the main topic of the text? What is the text about? Well, that's it for this video. I do hope that you learn a thing or two about skimming and that you now go away and put everything that you learn into practice. If you are looking for more help and support and practice materials for your OET preparation, then I encourage you to check out Swoosh English's OET exam preparation courses. They have everything you need to get you prepared for and passing your OET exam on your first attempt or the next time you try. They've got things like live classes, mock exams, writing corrections, and so much more. So head on over to our website, www.swooshenglish.com, and check out our courses today. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Goodbye.